It's your friendly neighborhood nihilist Theta, here again with some more match analysis. This week we're going to go over a match I was in between my team Mayhem and a very good team called Water. They had just come back at this point because several of their founding members had left in the middle of the season, and they'd added some new people. They added Phonic and R. Semper, and I think one other person, I can't remember. Anyway, point is that Water's a very good team. We ended up winning this match, but it wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination, and there were plenty of things that we could have done better, which is exactly what we're going to cover in this video. Alright, let's get right into it. I've skipped ahead to the second map of the match. This is the very first round of that map. At this point, we were feeling pretty confident. We had just won Quarantine, the first map, 4-2, and it felt like we were just going to cruise to a victory. We were surprised by the result of this round. As you'll see, things do not go our way here. I'll just let this play. I'll stop it as needed. Okay, so they start smoking here. Now it's important to note the configuration of our defense right here. So this is basically the final form of the defense. I'm in the way back right here. You can see there's a pretty big gap between me and the objective, but at this point I wasn't feeling too concerned about it because we had 4 people more or less swarmed on the objective. Actually, at this point, James, I should mention, is underneath the deck, so this is 3 people on objective. All these guys are upper deck. We figured, okay, if even one of them goes down, we'll start rushing. They start smoking the objective, everybody is losing visibility, and things get chaotic very quickly. You can see Adon's already up front. Engage is moving on the flank here. Grenade comes out. Now, James has already come up right here. You can see he went under, and then he went up to the north, and he took out one. He's about to take out another as well. And it's about to get down to a 4v2. So there's 5v3. One of us goes down. Okay, now we're at 4v2. You can't see it that well, but now you can see just a little glimpse that Lich King has slipped through our defense. We do not have that much of a gap here. The person who is directly on objective is dead, but we had 2 people right there, and in fact, when Defilade went down, which you can see Adon is the one who killed him, what ends up happening is Menorchid, my teammate Mono, he gets on the radio and says, Defilade's dead, crash. And so you can see I'm already getting in position to go down the stairs and head towards the objective. Now you can see my arrow moving. Now, this is a big moment because Lich King has just killed another defender on objective. And here he is. Okay. Notice that it's right about 35 seconds when this is going down. Mono is right here. Here's Lich King, or excuse me. No, Adon Assassin, I had that wrong. So Adon Assassin is on the objective. Mono is in the container with him and shoots him at just the wrong moment. If he had been there just a moment sooner, that would have been resolved. And as you can see from my arrow, I was rushing down to get there. I'm right about here at this point, because one person going down is usually not that big of a deal. And even then, Mono had said on the radio, crash, crash, crash. So that's exactly what I did. And James did too, believe it or not. So he's over here. He was getting oriented to come back. And yet we got capped on. The big problem here was that we had way too conservative of a defense. Truthfully, I should not have been this far back. This was a conscious decision on our part. We had not seen that much hyper-aggressive play from them up to this point. We figured it would be safe to play a slightly more conservative defense, protect our lead a little bit, and it ended up hurting us. Okay, on to the next round. So the next round in Tanker. In this instance, I am right here, and you can see that, yeah, it's Menorchid right here. He's facing out. I am about to take out Phonic right here. And I knew at this point that there was somebody around the corner. I'm right next to a container. You can't really see it on the map. But I knew there was somebody near me. It was just a matter of time before they came around. And as you'll see, this does not unfold in my favor. Sonic is here. Popping around. Camera work did not work too well in my favor. Okay, so that's from my perspective. As you can see, Phonic had put himself in a position where I could see him from that corner. And as you can see from the caster, obviously I couldn't see this in the game. There's a laser pointing my way, which tells me that the person right around the corner was watching that angle. Plus, he had just heard the shots. He had to know I was there. I had heard his footsteps coming up to there. So my thought was, okay, I'm going to come around this corner and get this guy. But I did not execute it that well. So I come here. Okay, this is not great. I've mentioned this before, but you really don't want to end up in situations where you're face-to-face with people, because it's either going to be a trade or you're going to lose. Sometimes you'll win, but in most cases, one of those two situations is going to occur. So if you can avoid it, you don't really want to just face-to-face anybody. And if you do, if you're going to peek a corner, you need to go fast. In this case, I did not do that. As you'll see, I come around wide, I have my gun up, and I'm not moving nearly fast enough. Lich is ready for me. So here we are. Look how far off from the container I am. And actually, I guess I lowered my weapon for a moment. I should have gotten it up. I knew there was a guy there, and I still did not make the correct move. So I try to get my gun up at the last second. Doesn't work out. Lich King gets me. Yeah, and that round ended up going the wrong way for us as well. As you can see, one person left. We lost. It went to 3-0. Next round. I have in fact skipped ahead a bit because, as is tradition in Onward, somebody left the overlay on in the round previous to this. There were some decent lessons there, but it just would have been too hard to highlight because the picture was so small. Not trying to point any fingers, TFH. But it does happen on broadcasts or streams, whatever you want to call them, quite frequently. Anyway, this is the final round of Tanker. And once again, this does not go our way. And in fact, there are a lot of parallels to this, to the cap that happened when we played Legionnaires, which is in my video called Don't Get Capped On, when we played them on Tanker. So I'll just let this play. Alright, so in this case you can see we have a similar situation as to when we played Legionnaires when they were on defense. We have 2 on the top and 3 on the bottom. Nobody directly in the middle. And Lich King is running this way. They were putting smokes out here. I couldn't see anything. So I popped out to see if I could catch anybody running through the smoke, which turned out to be a mistake. You can see Lich King right here. He's running. He catches me as soon as I'm coming out, and this is happening really fast. Potato is below, so he didn't even know what was going on. He just heard the gunshots, probably knew that I was dead. He might have called out to me. I don't know. I don't remember. So he's down here. He hears gunshots. He rushes up, and his first instinct is to look out the window. I don't think he was anticipating somebody being on the door that fast. So he's caught looking the wrong way. And in Onward, if you're behind somebody, you don't need to be a good shot. You don't have to be anything. You pretty much are going to win this, unless you just get really unlucky somehow. So he gets Potato, and now the critical point here is that there's nobody defending the north. And it's happened so fast. As you can see, it's about 20 seconds elapsed at this point, that nobody knows that the north is exposed. There's also a boatload of smoke on the objective, so nobody has visibility into what's going on here. Even if you pulled out your tablet, it's not like you'd know what was going on. Lich King runs out, pulls tablet out, and cap. No one can see him. And there's also a box right here. Even if Mono had started shooting right here, he wouldn't have hit him. It wouldn't have been enough. And there it is. Wow, it's just a really hard objective to defend if you lose both people in north. I should not have been playing out that far. I got a little greedy thinking I was going to pick somebody off in the smoke. I have done that before. I know people like to put a little too much confidence in smoke cover, and so they'll run through thinking no one can see them, and you can pick them off at that point. In this case, it did not pay off. I wasn't watching the corner tightly enough, and Lich just ran through me and ended up killing Potato because it happened too fast for him to react appropriately, and he ran in and capped. I think it's generally a good idea on this objective to have somebody in the middle with eyes on objective, because even though it feels safer to have people in both of those structures on top deck, something like this just happens way too often. If you watch League games where caps happen on this objective, this is pretty common. Either the north or the south gets taken out. People on the other side just can't react. They don't know what's going on. There's smokes. It's chaotic. And they end up getting capped on. Okay, on to the next round. Now we've jumped ahead to the next map, which is Bazaar. This is later in the round. I didn't want to make you guys watch the whole setup. As you can see, we're at excuse me, we have gotten to 1 minute and 8 seconds, and there's only one person down, one person on Mayhem specifically. The setup here is that I'm approaching from the west with Wookiee, or excuse me, the east with Wookiee, and this guy right here turns out to be Hondo VR. He is watching this crossing. What happens is that Wookiee says, hey, I'm in a cross, watch the doorway, so I'm still in this little alcove here, and Wookiee crosses with a smoke in the street. The smoke drew his attention, and Wookiee ends up getting killed. Let's just watch. The camera work, again, didn't really work in my favor here. So you can see Wookiee just died. I spent an inordinate amount of time sitting here waiting for Hondo to maybe poke out. A lot of people like to do that. They'll kill somebody in this spot or some similar spot, and they'll rush out to confirm, or they'll rotate. A lot of people do stuff like that. Hondo sat and waited. In retrospect, this cross wasn't very well thought out. What we should have done is both of us should have put a smoke right on the doorway here to block his vision. Wookiee had told me ahead of time, because he had been hanging out on scaffolding. He knew that there was somebody in here. He even told me, hey, there's somebody in blue room. That's why he had me watch this doorway. So we could have approached this much differently, thrown some smokes in there. I had an LMG, so we could have very easily just shot into this doorway and killed him without him being able to see anything, or at the very least just suppress the doorway. And instead, Wookiee goes out in the street. The smoke wasn't really blocking anything, and I'd spend a lot of time just watching this to see if he'll come and do anything, which was a mistake. You can see here, Mono just killed somebody. Now, the defenders on the objective are aware that he's there. They're starting to float around and rotate. They don't know that James is coming. Mono sees him. He misses. Now, Lich is really aware of him. You can see I'm over here not crossing, not committing to this, and then finally I just come out and I start firing on that doorway, and I kill Hondo right there. Mono starts pushing. We're down to 29 seconds now. Lich knows he's coming. He's got the angle on him. He runs around the corner, gets shot. Okay, James pushes on the objective and kills Engage, but he's reloading or something. He's looking away, and Lich King pushes on him and kills him. While this is going on, Phonic is behind the objective, and he is about to rotate in here. I have killed Hondo, and so I'm pushing, and now I'm aware of the time. I have to admit I had not been watching the clock up to this point, which is not great for a League player to do. So, come here. I rush through, and then I confirm my kill because I did not want to get called out. He might have even called me out up to that point, I don't know, but I rake him. You can even hear the commentators in the video say that Theta has given away his position now, which was a mistake. Don't do that. I knew I was super short on time, so I was rushing, but ultimately it wouldn't have mattered even if he called me out. I could have just rushed through and not given away my position. Would have probably saved me a second or two as well. So 15 seconds now. Phonic starts rushing into the courtyard. And I don't know what was going on with the camera work here, but totally miss what's going to happen next. Oh, let's just look over here where there's nobody. It's okay. I understand casting is difficult, guys. I'm not really being critical. Just busting your balls a little bit, but you don't see anything here. Okay, Lich King is there. Okay, so here I kill Phonic. 5 seconds left. I am right here. I'm in the objective courtyard. In fact, I can see Lich King. This is his perspective right now. I can see his back. I know he's there. It's just a matter of raising my gun and shooting him because I had just sprinted over here and killed Phonic. I turn, and now you can see I'm looking directly at him. 5 seconds left. I start firing. 4 seconds. And Lich King pulls off one hell of a smart move here. I couldn't believe he had the awareness to do this. Most guys would have tried to peek out and get the kill. He hangs out behind that pillar, and I didn't get him until a second after the round had ended. I didn't have the angle. I was rushing, I was trying, I was bobbing back and forth trying to get him, and I just couldn't do it. I was firing continuously as I ran at him, and I still ran out of time. So even though I got 2 kills leading up to this, I could have got a triple kill. We ended up losing that round, which was disappointing. So lesson here is, first of all, if you're going to be doing a crossing like this, do it intelligently, smoke it up, suppress, do whatever, but don't get caught just waiting. And especially if you know that somebody's there, either rotate or push, do something, because I spent way too much time sitting here popping in and out, in and out, in and out, waiting to see if this guy would come out and do anything. And then finally I just came out here and shot him, which I should have done sooner, and all it took was 1 second. If I had 1 second more, this round could have been won. Truly, it's all it took. So don't do that, and more than anything, watch the clock. It's never a good look to run out of time, especially in a situation like this where it's eminently winnable, and you lose just because you weren't paying close enough attention to the clock. Okay, on to the next one. And here's the next round. In this case, I am in the north. This is not a position I normally play, but whatever, we were mixing it up a little bit that game. Phonic is creeping up here. Now, you'll hear the commentators in this stream kind of chiding me for not watching the street, but it's common knowledge that this is a well-worn spot, and peeking this constantly will get you shot. On top of that, you can creep around the side of this and come out behind and stab people or do all kinds of bad stuff. So I'm constantly rotating back and forth. So I'm making myself unpredictable when I'm peeking here, and I'm making sure nobody is just belly crawling along this north wall and then sneaking up on me. So here we are. At this point, I'm watching, and I had just finished peeking, and I was looking at the doorway that Phonic was approaching. Not the doorway, the hallway here. So I have an excellent angle on Phonic, but I didn't know it at the time. And in fact, right as I'm doing this, you'll see I do one of my peeks behind me to make sure that nobody is going through this little crevasse here. See, in their mind, I was peeking and I didn't see him, but the truth is I was not even looking where he was. This is a pretty funny moment. So I come here. On the stream, one of the guys was like, I am defending these shelves. No one's getting to these shelves, which I thought was hilarious. Finally, I come out here, and then here I make a mistake. I see Phonic as I come around, but my gun was too low. I had, as they say in the stream, I had a lot of time to set that shot up, and he was not looking here. I think he was convinced, because I had not been peeking, that there wasn't anybody there. And so what ends up happening, as you'll see, so my first shot, straight into the wall. Not a good look. Okay, and the rest of my shots start hitting the car. He knows I'm there. I just wait for him to peek, and the beauty of the LMG is you can just sit there and shoot. It doesn't really matter. You can just suppress them and wait for them to try and peek or something. I didn't have to reload or anything, so I just waited for him to come out the other side, and I knew I'd had him. Knew I had him. Yeah, there you go. And we actually ended up winning this round with 5 men up. It's pretty cool. I won't make you watch the rest of that, but it was a well-played round. Everybody played their position, and in fact, you can see right here, James is about to get crept up on, but he trades, and I come and get the res, and like I said, we end with 5. Okay, on to the next one. On this attack, we were doing something which was a little unorthodox for us, but it worked out well. You can see there's a long line here across the map, and my mouse was not on the screen there. So as you can see, there's a long line across the map. We've got people spread out. We've got one person with eyes directly on objective. We got another person over here in the west, and then here's my position. And in a moment, I'm going to get the call to put fire on the objective to distract. It gives audio cover. It also suppresses anybody who's in there. Almost every team puts somebody directly on the objective on this particular one. And in this case, we were correct. We didn't know for sure, I think. I don't remember. They might have said it anyway. They said, hey, light up the objective, so that's what I did. Okay. See, it's going to start in just a moment. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, so I've been sitting there lighting it up, and I was so focused on this angle, just shooting this and suppressing it, that I did not watch for somebody to pop out here. I was even thinking as I got shot, probably be a good idea to stop and just check this angle, because there's no way they're just going to let me sit there fire unopposed. So two things I could have done better there. Number one, if you are going to do that, make sure that you're watching ahead of you as well. I was completely turned this way, and so Phonic had a fantastic angle on me. I didn't see him until the very last moment. The other thing is, if you're going to do this sort of covering fire, you can do it from cover. I'm not sure exactly what went through my head there, but I was a bit in the open. I was just on the corner. I think it's just because I felt like I had a great angle on the objective, but I was pretty exposed right there. So if you're going to lay down suppressive fire, something to remember is that you are going to be a target at that point. Just like you watch movies about World War II and they approach some German machine gun nest. It's like, what's the first priority is to take out that nest. The same sort of thing happens in Onward, where if there's an LMG just going off, suppressing, in this case it might have even suppressed more than one person, bullets could have been flying over here as well, it's a problem. And it's also auditory cover for anybody that's moving up. As you can see, everybody is pushed over here, so it's drawing lots of attention. You have to know that that's going to draw attention to you and get in cover as you're doing that. And also just be ready to fire back when somebody shows up to silence you. So, could have done that better, but oh well. On to the next one. Actually, I was going to play the next round, but I realized there's a cap that comes out in this one. I want to watch this. So you can see a pretty good movement here. A bunch of guys in the east pushing. And this just turns into a beautiful cap. I'll just let this unfold. So James is the one who ends up capping here. Theta's here. He ends up trading with Hondo in just a moment. The person directly on the objective is now dead, which means the objective is pretty much open. One person across the way. So another common position. And you can see now James has crossed. Now there is only one person left. Phonic, I believe. Or... oh no, sorry, two people left. Yeah, so still Adon Assassin and Phonic are the only ones left. James has already crept in here. There goes Adon, and now Phonic is way off the objective. He has no hope of catching that. And James gets the cap. Beautiful. Okay, now we're really going to go on to the next one. This is the final round. It's the last one we'll go over anyway. What happened here is it got down to a 2v2. It's 3-1, so Water would not have won the map if they had won this, but we would have won if we did. So pretty high stakes. We decided to clamp down. There's Wookiee over here and me right here. Lich King's approaching. We knew they were in the south. They were firing at us. There was smoke. So we knew that was the approach. And I really didn't want to get capped on, especially when we had such a big lead. I didn't really care if I died or not, so I was just more or less popping in and out of this window to see if I could catch somebody, or at the very least get shot and not capped on. You can see here there's a team kill, and you can't see it on this screen because the way the bodies move is different for every person viewing it, but his body went flying through the air as that happened. And so I shot the body as it was going through the air, and as I was shooting the body, Adon comes around. You can see the body right here. Adon comes around and sees me and downs me. But he gave away his position. Wookiee pops out of his spot, and done. Lesson there, be careful who you're shooting. They had time to think about it a little bit more than that. I don't know if Adon was just nervous or what. I've definitely been in that position before and made mistakes, so nothing against him. It happens to the best of them. But be very careful who you're shooting. This one really cost them. They potentially could have won. I don't think that Lich would have gotten past my line of fire. I was looking directly where he was about to pop out, but Adon picked me off, and if he had just backed off a little bit, he could have potentially gotten Wookiee too, and at the very least put one up on the board for them. And instead they got a team kill and lost the match. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. I hope you learned something from this. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to post them in the comments. Theta out.